Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
My name is Dimitrios. It's more simple. Greek names, could be difficult to pronounce. I would like to take you now to transfer you to another domain, the domain of the social sciences, where the therapeutic community that I will talk to you about is the hero of a play regarding his relationship, the relationship of the therapeutic community with the state and the public health systems. Why I'm doing this? Because I will talk to you about Kethea, which is a nationwide organization in Greece. Its employees now about 900 employees, and offer services to 15,000 people in a total population of 10 million of the country. Now, Kethea is a distinctive organization with a hybrid legal status, which was implemented in a particular historical moment. So Kethea was founded to implement the TC model in Greece. And the legal status is this of a public organization taking part of a public health system in Greece. So, the therapeutic communities in general in Europe were developed in a period of generalized questioning of the existing situation then. In the 60s and the 70s were marked by movements of political questioning and social and individual emancipation. The feminist movement, anti-war movement, political liberties, etc., etc. In the political arena, the condition for the establishment of social protection services that reduces inequalities was formed. It was in that period, after the Second World War. At the same time, not by chance, in the field of social sciences there is a clear tendency concerning the study of mechanism of social change. That fact has a strong impact on the practice of professional and critical areas like education and furthermore mental health. The development of social psychiatry and anti-psychiatry systems, movements, manifested within this general climate of contestation in Europe and in the world also. Greece now, in the 60s and 70s, has similarities and differences from that process. The Greek society follows the general trend of modernization, industrialization, urbanization, etc., etc., etc. But at the political level, after the World War II, it was a devastating civil war for 9 years. And then the state adopts an authoritarian, republican, but authoritarian regime. That leads to, at late 60s, 67, with a dictatorship that cuts, that's the important, cuts off the residents of Greece from the social movements in the whole Europe and in the world. In the same time, in the society, there was the same problems, the same processes, like drug use, drug addiction problems, deviant behaviors, formating of deviant groups, etc., etc., etc. This is the context, the general context of the creation of Kethea. What we call today in Greece the therapeutic community for addicts is a synthetic model of democratic and hierarchical systems, therapeutic community systems, which emerged through many conflicts and experiments characterized by the simultaneous presence of professional and former addicts as a member of the paid staff. The theoretical basis of the therapeutic community is that addiction is not a medical or a mental health problem. It's primarily and above all a psychosocial problem concerning lifestyle, and thus the therapeutic community creates a social structure functioning at the opposite ends of the addict lifestyle, aiming to change it. This conception of addiction leads the therapeutic community had always to be extremely wary of mental health professionals in the field of addiction. The questioning now of professionalism is not about the quality or the abilities of mental health professionals to work. It should be seen more as a demand for the establishment of a new professional field with its own theory and intervention tools, and as counterweight of this worry about the mental health professionals, they involve from the beginning ex-users as members of the staff. Now, Kethea now is established by law, by the government, as a public health structure. But there were three conditions to contribute to this. The existence of a generation of professionals in mental health that was following the aforementioned social movements, a political leadership that could adopt modern processes and impose them, and a society that was ready to accept such kind of a proposition. The particularity of the Kethea now is that although a public organization, it is a self-determined organization, a self-governing organization. The General Assembly, the members of the General Assembly that elected entirely the administration board of Kethea was the staff, everyone who was employee of Kethea, was the members of the therapeutic communities in the phase of reintegration. It was the member of the board of the families and friend associations of its community in Kethea, and was all the ex-members of the administration boards of Kethea. That is actually a total of 900 people, 1,000 people. So this General Assembly elected until 2019 the administrative board of Kethea. Now, in the first period of operation of the therapeutic communities in Greece, the movement and unconventional character of the project prevails over any other characteristic, and the staff acts more like an activist than a professional. In order to protect the therapeutic community model and reflect its operation into normative text that follows the logic of the public sector. That is the first problem here, because it is a public organization. It's not an NGO. The therapeutic model of the hierarchical community was transferred to the management of personnel based primarily on the integration of philosophy at the integration of philosophy at the staff level. In other words, the early Kethea implemented the function of the therapeutic community not only as method, but also as a material reality in the level of the staff. From 1987 to 1992, Kethea grew very fast, establishing a lot of therapeutic communities in the country, quadrupling the treatment places provided. At the same time, as a result of the organization growth, the staff grows in number, brings in different scientific and culture in the interior of the therapeutic community that was protected before the growth, and the geographic distribution of units, of Kethea units, is greatly expanded from the north to the south. It's a small country in population, but it's a large country. It's a big country in superficie. It seems that this is precisely this new characteristic that creates the condition for the transformation of Kethea into a totally different organization then. As the organization grew, the control systems that tried to maintain the original movement character of the organization increased and became more complex. The proposition made from the administration of Kethea was, the solution proposed was to break up the organization into smaller structures, like a confederation, not anymore having a nationwide organization, but a confederation, and set a maximum working life limit of 10 years for frontline staff because of the burnout system. That means that the administration proposed to take care of the burnout system by firing the staff, or by replacing every 10 years the staff in the front line, the therapeutic staff. The pressure, the complaint, the question then of the identity of Kethea had to be resolved. Small family-type structures oriented to the original philosophy, the original in the 50s philosophy, or a mature self-governing organization relying on its staff to develop recovery services. That was the question. The conflict within the organization must be also seen at the same time under the influence of the external environment. What was happening in Greece then? It was a pressure for greater diversification of services offered at lower cost as the problematic substance use grew and many addicts were left without treatment, without care. So we wanted more structures and diversified. The establishment of a new public organization then for the development of substitution services, which was presented as the new solution for all those that were out of treatment. And the discourse in the country concerning the issues of meritocracy and objectified treatment in the workplaces, that means democratization of the workplaces, that issued at several laws. With the shift of Kethea towards in order to respond to the internal crisis and to the external conditions, the abandonment of the previous model of administration and staff management was imperative. It's obvious. Within the shift of Kethea towards a mature organization, there is clear that there is a clear attempt to build alliances between the administration and the employees, and consensus was made that was highly functional, given that existed until 2013. The staff training policy replaced the staff control system. With the development of targeted in-house training programs and very strong support for external training, a critical mass of highly trained employees is being assembled, capable of shifting the organization to a new model that can support expansion into addiction treatment policies beyond the traditional model. At the same time, it seeks to resolve the issue of specialization of the former addicts by supporting a policy of equalizing staff through the acquisition of academic qualification without ignoring the personal development targeting to minimize the burnout syndrome by education, by personal development. However, the implementation of modern democratic management systems remained incomplete because they were not invested by decision-making authority. The decisions remained in a hierarchical system like before. In the economical crisis of 2010 in Greece, a violent intrusion of the external environment, that means the laws, etc., into the organization, altered his equilibrium. The implementation of a rigid public system was an intrusion and focus on the job rather on the formal, so the staff was then recategorized by the formal education. It was a totally different system because they depreciated a lot an essential element of every TC operation, that means the ex-users as member of the staff. The second which was affected was the organization training policy, because the organization had no money to continue to implement training programs in the exterior. In 2019, the government abolished the self-governing status of Kethea, the right-wing government, completing, in a sense, the crisis opened with the imposition of public sector management systems, and by that, opening a new chapter in the history of the therapeutic communities, Kethean therapeutic communities in Greece. That new chapter is now at the beginning. We had a massive political and social reaction against that brought to the fore the question about the model of the therapeutic community. And now everybody is talking in Greece about Kethea and the therapeutic communities as public, and their importance. The discussion for the protection of the model within the public health system is now open, and we are waiting how to be closed. Thank you.